Hello and welcome to another Titan tutorial video. In this video, I will be demonstrating how users can manage the flow of their data in between the bricks of their flow, granting them more control over what they choose to use, and reducing barriers between using different types of bricks. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start by logging into the platform. Alright, as you can see, I already have 3 flows here, and for the sake of this example, I already went ahead and created a flow beforehand. Let's go into flow. And in this flow, I've already kept a few bricks inside that I'm going to be using for this example. Let's go through the bricks one by one to explain what these bricks actually do and what my goal actually is. So, first we have the text stream receiver. What this brick does is that it opens a TCP listener that awaits streams of text, which it will then emit ahead line by line. I'm going to be using this brick to receive a stream of text from a log file, which it will then emit forward, each log line at a time. Alright, so moving on. The next brick we have is called the line filter. Like the name suggests, this brick receives a line and filters it out according to a regular expression that I, as a user, can give. If the line matches the expression, it will be sent ahead. If it doesn't match, then the line will be discarded. This becomes useful when you have a lot of data and you just want a specific set of it. This next brick we have is called the line parser. This brick, like the line filter, takes in a regular expression. However, it uses the expression to extract data out of a string of text and put it into a proper data structure. So, if a log line goes into the parser, it will come out as a defined object with keys and values. Okay, so up ahead we have the simple template processor. This brick takes in a map of key value pairs and allows the user to form a message using those values. So if I have, for example, the weather value coming into this brick, I can use it to form a message using that value. And finally, we have the Telegram writer. This brick requires you to provide it an authorization token of a Telegram bot and an ID of a chat. It will then post whatever message it receives to that chat as a bot. So that was a short explanation of what each brick does in this flow. Now let me explain what I want to do with this flow. I have a log file which tracks a lot of data in my software. One of the data in it is whenever the memory consumption goes too high, and I want to be notified whenever it does. So, I will use the text stream receiver to receive a stream of log lines. I will then have the filter only filter out the memory consumption logs from the huge chunk of data. Then, I will have the parser extract necessary information out of it and form a structure. I will then use the structure to form a nice message, which I will then have the Telegram writer brick send me the information. So let's begin. So let's start with connecting the first 2 bricks. Let's connect the text stream receiver with the line filter. As I connect it, I can see this dialog pop up. This is the port mapping dialog. In this dialog, in a way, you decide what parts of your data do you want the next brick to receive. Since you're mapping the data from and to the port, we call it port mapping. You can see many things on this dialog, which I will explain step by step with the progression of building this flow. But for now, let's concentrate on the source and the target. Since this is a connection, the source is the output port and the target is the input port. What you see in these boxes change according to the types of bricks that are part of the connection. So, in the source, you can see a line. This is the log line that the text stream receiver will receive and output. And in the input, in target, is what the line filter will get. So let's go ahead and map them. All I have to do is check on line here, and then click on input here, and I see this overlay. It tells me that I'm mapping line, which is part of the output, and I'm mapping it to the target's input. When I click on confirm, I can see that now they're disabled, and I see something pop up here. When I open this, I can see that the output line is mapped into input. So what this essentially means is that whatever comes out of the line in the text stream receiver, only that will be sent to the input in the line filter. So now that we've mapped our line variables, what will happen to tags? First of all, what is tags in this brick? Tags is basically a key value pair that you can send with your log file that might hold general information about the logs. In this example, the log file that I am sending has a tag of the customer name. And since I know what tag I'm receiving, I can go ahead and add it to my map. I can do that by clicking on the plus icon here, and I can write, I'm receiving a tag of key customer, and it's going to be of type string, and I add it. Once I do that, I can see that tags is now unfolded and has a key called customer. So now that I've added the customer, what I can do is I can click tags, and I click on add on buffer, and I see this form pop up. I can choose another name, but I'm going to keep it tags and click on save. So you might be wondering, what does the buffer do? Well, since I'm not using tags at the moment, this doesn't mean I will not need it further in the flow. So instead of having it discarded, I can add it to a temporary storage called the buffer. This allows me to use this information anywhere up ahead in the connections. This way, I don't lose the data, and I don't have to use it immediately in order not to lose it. Okay, so now that we're done with this connection, I'm going to close this, and let's move on. So we have built a connection from the receiver to the line filter. Let's go ahead and make the new one, from the line filter to the line parser. And as you can see now, the source has something else, and the target has something else. The source is basically now the output of the line filter, and the target is basically the input of the line parser. And as you can see, the tags that we added in the buffer is still available to use. So now I can map these two ports just like I did for the previous connection. But near the mapped elements, I can see this notification bell here. When I click on it, I can see that the connection has detected a matching that can be done automatically. If I want to do it, I can just click on it and confirm, and I can see that the ports have been mapped for me automatically. Alright, so now that they're mapped, let's move on. Let's close this dialog. And now the next connection that I'm going to make is from the line parser to the simple template processor. And I can see this new connection dialog open up. The source is now the output of the line parser, and the target is basically the input of the simple template processor. So with the line parser, you can see that the output has a map of fields. These fields are dependent on what regular expression you give into the line parser. This will be then the keys in the field map. So as you can see from my regular expression, I'm trying to extract time, station, proc name, current and peak values of the memory. Therefore, these will be my keys inside my fields map. So let's go ahead and create them one by one. Alright, now that they're created, these are the fields that I want to use in the simple template processor. And as you can remember, the simple template processor requires certain variables that you can use to form a message. So let's go ahead and add the same exact values into the map of the simple template processor. Okay, so now I've created all the same fields that I'm getting out of the line parser into the simple template processor. And now this is where we are going to use our buffer. So since I want to also see the customer name in my message, I can also add the customer as an extra field here. Alright, now that I have my data ready, I can begin mapping them. I'm going to map time with time. I'm going to map station to station. And I'm going to map proc name to proc name. And as you can see, the moment I check something, the ones that are not compatible, the type that is, they get disabled and you cannot check them. And peak to peak. And then finally, the customer will be tagged, mapped to the customer. And here we have it, all our mappings. We can note that even though this customer is an output of the very first break in the flow, we could add it in the buffer and use it later on, and now we're doing it. So let's go ahead and close this. And let's go to the simple template processor and let's start building our message. So I could say that, let's say customer So what this represents is that all of these variables that I've created, I can use them in the simple template processor to build any kind of message that I want to. All right, now let's go ahead and make our final connection, the template processor to the Telegram writer. As you can see that now the output of the template processor is just a string, and the target, that is the Telegram writer, takes a message. So what I can do is I can just automatically map them together, and I'm done. So before I run the flow and demonstrate it, I would like to talk about one final thing. Let's open up this connection here. And on the left side, I can see under the buffer are constants. Constants, like the name says, are constant values that you can build and use. These values are globally available in the flow and are useful for when you need values that don't change, but have to be used over and over again. For that reason, you can add a constant and map it to the target port. For the sake of this example, I don't really have a use for a constant, but I'll fit it in the result anyways, just to demonstrate it. And to do that, let's add a constant. I'm going to add a constant, and I can see a form here. Let's call my constant pi. Let's give it a value of a float, and let's call it 3.14. I add it, and in order to map it to my target, I can add a new value called pi, same type, add it, and then finally map them together. So now that I've mapped them, I need to use it in my template. I can open this dialog here, and I can write, for some reason, let's remember the value of pi is pi. And let's click on save. All right, now we're ready to run the flow. Before running it, I'm just going to save it just for a safety measure. Let's open the log pane so I can see the logs, and then click on start. The moment I click on start, I receive 3 logs. I can see that the logs are from the text stream receiver, and it's telling me that it's opening a connection on localhost and in this port, and it's waiting for a stream. To send the log file, I already have a small Python script ready, and all I'm going to do is just run that Python script, and it's going to send my log file to the text stream receiver. Let's run that and put this away. And then I can see that a lot of my breaks start working, the parser starts parsing, the simple template processor, and I have a message on my Telegram. Let's see, open it up, and I can see that customer example has a current memory of so-and-so and a peak memory of so-and-so happening at the proc name, the station, the time, and finally our message from our constant. For some reason, let's remember the value of pi is 3.14. Okay, so let me minimize this window. All right, so what we saw here is that I sent a log file to my flow and then have the flow filter, extract, parse, and process the information that I want and have me notified about it at the same time. I can extend this to another connection from the text stream receiver and form the same kind of flow and filter out some other information and just let Titan handle it. So that was how you as a user can build a flow, use the bricks to your advantage, and map the ports between them so you have more control over what kind of data you want traveling within your flow. I hope that was helpful, and I hope it is a tad bit more clear on how you can build your own flows and start using Titan for your own projects. Thank you for watching.